When I was little, I was totally obsessed with cleanliness. Everything around me had to be spotless and immaculate. This was not just my own room, but my entire family home, including the cupboards, the drawers, the pantry, even my parents' cars. I felt like my mind just couldn't relax until everything around me was clean and tidy. I was forever cleaning up after my family, whether it be vacuum cleaning the floor or sorting my way through a disorganized cupboard. I was simply obsessed with things being perfect. They say as you grow older that you slowly grow out of your habits. But for me, my obsession of perfectionism stayed around. The positive psychological and physiological aspects of sport and having an active lifestyle are scientifically well known. Benefits of having an active lifestyle include increased life expectancy, decrease in osteoporosis, heart disease, and depression. Based on all these benefits, one may wonder, are there any downsides? So what is the difference between a healthy passion and an addiction? A healthy passion adds to your life, and addictions take away from it. Addictions come in many forms, and sport is no exception. Sport addictions sound ridiculous. When we think of addictions, we think of things that harm our bodies and things that are bad for us, such as drugs and alcohol. However, sport addiction is real and harmful. A person who is addicted to alcohol is seen as being worthless and a failure. In comparison, a successful athlete is looked upon and celebrated. Just because you're an athlete doesn't mean you aren't damaging your body. Whether you're addicted to sport or addicted to alcohol, you are all damaging your body to some degree, and all go through rehabilitation at some point. Most athletes can relate to that high that you get after a hard training session or game, which is triggered by the release of our happy hormones such as endorphins, which have mood-altering effects. These effects are just like those produced from drugs and alcohol and are extremely addictive. Sports addicts share many symptoms with other addicts. They harm their bodies and don't allow themselves a chance to recover. But it's not just a question of physical damage. Sports addicts suffer psychological damage as well. You can become dependent on training for feeling good, and life outside of training becomes boring. You can begin to develop a tolerance to the high, and the high stops coming altogether. You need more and more exercise in order to get that same effect. And when you're not exercising, you suffer similar withdrawal symptoms as any other addict, including depression, anxiety, and irritability. Sports addictions also have a negative effect on your social life. Cancelling catch-ups with friends as you'd prefer to train, or you're constantly not mentally present when with others as you are focused and preparing yourself for that next training session high. It consumes every thought, controls your happiness and self-worth, and takes away from you living a happy, healthy, balanced life. As you get sucked in and lost in winning, it then begins to take a toll on your mental health and resilience, which then determines how happy you are as a person. You can find yourself in a hole that you feel stuck in. You can feel so good about your performances, but yet so lost as a person. Redefine what success looks like for you. Instead of being that gold medal or that personal best time, success may look more like turning up to training, having fun, being niggle-free, having good nutrition, good sleep, or simply just meditating for 5 minutes every day. I've had to learn how to become less perfect, less intense, and less focused on my ultimate outcomes. Maintaining the joy of success is key. In sport addictions, the constant need to exercise, often more than your body can handle, can disrupt your training and performances. It can be the beginning of a downward spiral towards both short and long-term health consequences. No one likes to ever admit they're in the wrong. Acceptance can be a true mental challenge. As you continue to put your body under constant stress, it is deteriorating right from your gums to your brain. It can bring you to a state where you can no longer compete. And in fact, some conditions can be deadly. I have experienced my body breaking down right before my eyes. I did not want to admit that I needed to slow down and not be so perfect and obsessed. There was this voice that constantly reappeared inside me, telling me I'm overweight, I need to keep pushing my body to the limits, train more, eat less, and only eat certain types of foods. The harmful effects of sport addictions are not well understood nor widely recognized, and the social perception differs significantly from any other type of addiction. Intense repetitive training can be what is required in order to meet your desired outcomes. Many athletes suffer injuries through high-level trainings and games, just like how many musicians suffer injuries through over-practice and constant repetition. Highly talented people are capable of exciting, mind-blowing, and sometimes crazy things. But are all of them addicts? Probably not. Accepting that there will be some guaranteed damage along the way. That's part of adaptation, growth, and being a high performer. However, many walk a fine line between commitment and addiction and show that obsessive commitment beyond ordinary levels has the potential for both outstanding achievements and significant self-harm. High levels of exertion can cause serious harm and lifelong health consequences, including chronic malnutrition, which is another form of growth failure. Failure to achieve peak bone mass, which is the maximum amount of bone you acquire in your lifetime. This typically happens for females in their early 20s and males in their late 20s. Failure to achieve peak bone mass increases your risk of osteoporosis in adulthood and stress fractures. And lastly, another health consequence is immune suppression, which is when there is a reduction in the effectiveness of your immune system. All of these outcomes will disrupt your performances, which is ironically what athletes fear the most. It's especially hard for young girls to explore their way through puberty and maintain their performances. The body often develops in a way that is misaligned with the ideal preferences of the athlete's sport. Understand that going through puberty is only a very small phase of your development and not a long-term implication. Do not try and fight this essential phase of life. I urge you to listen to your body and listen to your health. Understand that when your period starts, it's not necessarily going to slow you down just because you have put on extra body fat. It's also due to your hips widening, defined waist, development of breasts, and your limbs start to change length. As soon as you put on extra body fat and your performances start to slow down, that voice creeps in that you're not training hard enough and that you need to eat less. Figuring out who I was outside of my sport was a true mental challenge. Sport does not have to define you. To realize that you have value outside of your performances is crucial. These are not what make you who you truly are. Sport addiction is not taken seriously by everyone. Let's get out of that bubble and start talking to our peers, coaches, and parents, and make this a normal and open topic. And the big thing is getting those coaches, peers, athletes, and parents who aren't aware of the risks more aware, so we can prevent these issues that I've been through. So let's learn off each other. Never feel like you're having to battle through this addiction alone. Confront the future. Sport is only a very small part of your life. Thank you.